Hello and welcome. Anjali Pandey is the Vice President responsible for the engine business and component business at Cummins India. In her 20-year-long career, she has grown to this level after joining Cummins as fresh graduate trainee in the sourcing function. Before taking on this leadership for Cummins Emission Solutions in 2011, she also led the strategy and business development function for the India Area Business Organization for a period of 2 years. In her current role, Anjali is responsible for driving the growth of the businesses and enhancing the market share for both on highway as well as off highway sectors. In addition to this, she also leads the powertrain and electrification program for Cummins in India. A production engineer by qualification, she has completed her master's in business administration with specialization in finance and strategy from Kelly School of Business, US. She is also the recipient of the Women Achievers Award for the year 2011. Anjali is an avid reader and enjoys playing table tennis. Anjali, welcome to Women in Mobility, our initiative to engage with women leaders across the mobility space to understand the perspective on the leadership and take inspiration from corporate journey.
Thank you, Murali. Appreciate it.
So I would like to start by asking to share your journey right from the. I think this is the first job, and how is it?
Well, it's been some time since I've, come out of my engineering school. So it's been fantastic for a mechanical engineer. It's good to be working for an engine company, and so it's been a dream run for me. And I think as I've grown with my career, I think the best part of this job is it's exciting technically, and it's enriching in terms of the lives that I'm able to touch and improve through the roles that I have had at Cummins.
So, as production engineering is what you are my faculty in the undergraduation. Was it your choice of your own, or you were influenced by someone?
It was my choice. Early on, as I was doing my schooling, I got influenced by my cousins who were in the mechanical engineering field, and primary engineering drawing excited me a lot. Pretty complex and intense. And then I decided maybe this is the field that I would pick for myself as I had the opportunity.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you share some anecdotes, some interesting happenings in your leadership journey so far?
Full of excitement. I remember, I was the plain Jane engineer, very, very happy and satisfied with the challenges of the day. And initially put on the shop floor, managing the production, being the production engineer. And it was interesting because in those days, I'm talking about 2001 timeframe, not a lot of women on the shop floor, right? So it was a bit of a spectacle to to see me operate. But I just want to say that also very welcoming. The environment has been very welcoming. Mm-hmm. And just being able to learn from my colleagues and do better every day, challenge myself, and create my own space. I think that's been quite a exciting phase. Then there came a stage where I started wanting more of myself, as well as of the opportunities in the organization, and I wouldn't settle for less. For example, there was this role, and as you were reading my career journey, there was this role in internal audit, and as you would know, it calls for chartered accountants, right? So it's a different sort of area of expertise, and I opted for the role because I wanted to get exposure into business and finance and all of that, and just be smarter. And I was, I was questioned whether I would be able to handle the role.
Mhm.
Use my own logics and analysis and a lot of failure mode effect analysis, FMEs.
So you applied that.
Yes, and they were compelled to pick me up for the role, right? And so just several such exposures in areas where I felt I wasn't really clear about, or I more to learn. I challenged myself, and I got the opportunity around it, right? So it's been really fulfilling.
No, but what was the key driver for you to get into the internal auditing, especially it's a mix of.
Yeah, I think just my curiosity in terms of how things work, how business decisions are taken, how risks are evaluated. If I would be the CEO, how I would approach my business. And I felt that there was a limitation in the current role that I had as an engineer managing production, where the strategy and also the finance aspect of things was not as clear.
Okay.
So early on in my career, I was looking for gaps to say, how do I really upgrade myself as a professional, contribute at a business level, and make a difference? So that's where I picked up some of these unconventional roles, which just help me broaden my overall perspective on business. Internal audit being one of those.
Yeah. Fantastic, fantastic. Can you share some decisions that made a significant impact on the organization or on someone's life or career?
Well, several such decisions. And just after this role, I decided to pick on strategy because, that's really where a lot of critical decisions for the business sort of get made. And it's more futuristic in nature. By then, I had my MBA also done.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, as a team, we were able to make some moves where some of the decisions that were taken, just we sort of reversed the decision, right, through a lot of analysis, through a lot of optionality on the table, and that required a lot of conviction, right, and a lot of data to be brought on the table. To be able to influence the stronger leaders of the organization to say, maybe you're wrong, and maybe there's a different way of taking the business forward. So, for example, I'm not quoting the details because it's certainly internal to the business here. Thinking of shutting down a plant.
Okay.
And almost everything in terms of the decision was made. The leader was convinced, and we brought analysis on the table. That was exciting to be able to challenge everything, basically challenge the thought process, and bring information and data on the table to have the right conversations and conflicts in some cases, be able to make the right calls for the company, right? So it's been really, really intriguing and interesting for me.
Comes to leadership, is there a particular way that you follow? Would you be rigid or flexible, or how do you go about it?
I think it depends on the problem at hand or the situation. Generally, I would call myself as a flexible leader who believes in optionality. So, I'm not somebody who can be firm because I feel strategy, and which is what senior leaders have to decide for the company, is something which is a point in time, right? And so leaders have to be flexible and sort of adopt themselves to changing times. And people who are not able to embrace the change generally get obsolete in the process, right? And bring a lot of value destruction to the table, right? So,
okay,
would call myself as a flexible leader that would like to adopt with changing times to be able to bring the maximum value to the table.
Yep. So, to empowering women leaders in your organization, what will be your role and what is your role?
It's been very, very interesting. I explained, like early 2000s, there are hardly any women engineers, especially for a manufacturing company. It's a big change. The only women that I saw were either in IT or in finance function, right? So not so much hardcore manufacturing.
Correct.
From there, the approach that we took was to set the right tone at the top, right? So it has to be said by the senior most leaders of the company that they want women with them in their businesses. And so that's what we did. And then we sort of set targets because, humans are quite driven with targets.
Correct.
There's excitement about achieving it and there's disappointment about missing it, right? So we set targets for ourselves to say, we want to maybe move the needle in this direction. Okay. What it did for us, right, as imposing as it sounds, it created critical mass, right? So of a population of 100, at least we have 20 diverse in nature and gender diverse in nature.
Okay.
From there, 20 started demanding more. Right. So, for example, accommodating facilities to make it more diverse.
Okay.
Women generally in India are not as tall. So to be able to embrace women on the shop floor, look at the heights of the machine tools to be able to do the operations effectively, ergonomically designing things, making fresh facilities are available, flexi policies, because there is those stages in life when you have to break. So all of that came along. And along that, we also drove a lot of culture of right environment, right? Because, at times it's odd to see women around you, and we have plants with 50% diversity levels.
Wow.
So how to behave, right? How to manage, how to, encourage, how to appreciate. All of those aspects also came along, the softer aspects of embracing diversity.
Okay.
It's been therefore a very, very interesting journey. And, I think all the leaders, including myself, right, have been strong proponent of diversity. We wouldn't have it any other way. It's been really, really successful for us to have this kind of diversity. We've grown like multifold. We've taken this approach. So there's a business case to it.
Very interesting. So a lot of pressure for you, taking different assignments and etc. But how do you typically strike a balance between work and life and the family?
Oh, very, very similar to most women. I think just having great support system. So, being able to understand what your areas of passion are, and the rest, I believe in having support system to sort of take care. And so at home, I have a great support system that sort of helps meets the need of my teenage son. And yet, my husband, who's like now in his 40s and also quite demanding, right, in terms of his own needs. So just having those support arrangements to be able to manage the personal lives. At the same time, just being able to be clear about things that matter, right? So big events, making sure you're there for your kids, right, when they need you the most. And at work, also being able to be very meticulous on time management, making sure the most important things are addressed. As a leader, I don't want to be buried in the fires of the day. I just want the flexibility and the freedom to be able to think strategically, think long term. So how do I take my business in that direction where there is enough space for the top leadership to be thinking long term, and there are people that manage the fires of the day, and hopefully we reach a point where we don't have fire every day, right? So those have been my approaches, and in general, demanding more of myself, continuing to upgrade myself, my capability has been the approach that has helped me. I wouldn't settle for less. Right. I wasn't ready to make choices that, either you can have career or you can have personal life. Early on, I realized that maybe I can strike a balance, and it's worked well.
Great, great. So, generally, you must visited a lot of companies, maybe your suppliers, etc. But what is lacking in organizations today that prevents women from reaching to the top roles?
Especially when I call about review sort of manufacturing, I think the motivation of trying hard to bring in diversity, I think that's lagging. It's just convenient to sort of employ more or promote more male colleagues. And there's nothing wrong in it, but if you decide to make a shift, you need to come up with approaches. For example, I just want to quote what I learned from one of my colleagues, and she's a great woman leader as well. So she said, hey, look, in the domain of quality and manufacturing, if I have to bring women leaders, I got to create a pipeline. So when the position opens up, I'm able to find enough resumes of credible candidates, gender diverse candidates, where I can then offer them. This work is happening when there is need, and this work is also happening when there is not a need, right? When the position is not opened, also there is an attempt to continue to sort of make the pipeline richer. I don't see, the organizations that complain that, hey, look, we didn't get enough women talent in manufacturing. Generally, I have seen this kind of effort is not being put.
Okay.
The tone at the top is vague. So it's okay to have, it's okay to not have, and you can't make the difference. You will need to have the critical mass to be able to make the difference. And then the critical mass also asking for the difference, right? So, which is where, that's what I see lagging. I see lagging the tone at the top. I also see the lag in terms of just having proactive measures to fill up the pipeline, right? So especially in manufacturing.
You're also responsible for electrification project. So what is your view on the future of the mobility?
It's changing, right? It's changing from the traditional, diesel and petrol, right, to different options that will be available for the end user. Mm-hmm. The question is, for the end user, it needs to make a business case.
Absolutely.
So, for example, I can see there are segmental approaches to what type of solution can be offered. The two-wheelers, the three-wheelers, etc. There is smaller range distance to cover. That's electric solutions are becoming very popular. In fact, we are seeing big move and big shift in that area. As we start getting into cars, for example, again, I think if it's within the city kind of driving, electric is good. But the moment you start doing, say, Pune, Mumbai, and there's a range picture that is coming in, right? That's where it gets complicated, because you don't want to have range anxieties that somewhere you've lost your battery and you need charging infrastructure. That's that. Now, if I shift gears to commercial vehicle applications, that there it's getting tougher, because now we are talking about distances which are 600, 800 kilometers. Where we don't have credible solutions as yet. So there's a lot of research happening to say when that will happen. So my view is, therefore, there is a space for alternate technologies, whether it's electric or gas or hydrogen for that matter. And it just matters in terms of which segment we're talking about. It's not going to be one solution fits all, which is the complication. You just can't switch from diesel or just can't switch from petrol overnight. No. Right. So that's going to be the approach around what segment, what technology matters.
Great. So, very lovely, nice to hear from you. Thank you very much for talking to Mobility Outlook, and thank you so much for being part of Women in Mobility. Thanks so much.
Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.